Hi there, I'm Jessica. Thanks for choosing firstcertificate.com. We want to help you improve your level of English quickly and easily. To help you get the maximum advantage from your first certificate grammar lesson, we have introduced video lesson previews with our best teachers. But do not forget to study the complete lesson before going on to the exercise. Well, let's start with today's video lesson. And here to present it is Paul.
Hi, it's Paul Connell again, back to introduce another lesson.
Hello. Today we deal with one of the most complicated grammar topics in English, reported speech. It is sometimes called indirect speech and is very common in spoken English. What is reported speech? There are two ways of repeating what a person has said. 1. By using inverted commas and literally repeating what the person said. Example: he said, "I like coffee." 2. By putting the sentence into reported speech, which is more common than the first option. When you put a sentence into reported speech, it changes. Example: he said he liked coffee. We can take a closer look at how this changes. How to convert a sentence from direct speech into reported speech. When you put a sentence into reported speech, it changes in several ways. There are 8 points we need to consider. Number 1. Reporting verb. The reporting verb is the verb the speaker uses to introduce the sentence that is being reported. The most common reporting verbs are said, told, and for questions, asked. For example, John said that he was leaving in the morning. John told Mary that he was leaving in the morning. John asked me if I had a car. Other reporting verbs are admitted, advised, agreed, apologized, begged, complained, denied, explained, invited, offered, ordered, promised, replied, suggested, and thought. 2. Verbs. Look at the following table to see the verb tense changes necessary to convert direct speech into reported speech. Present simple becomes past simple. Present continuous becomes past continuous. Past simple becomes past perfect. Present perfect becomes past perfect. Past perfect, no change in reported speech. Past continuous becomes past perfect continuous. There are examples of all of these in the complete lesson. 3. Subject, object, and possessive pronouns. When you convert a sentence from direct speech into reported speech, the subject pronouns, I, you, he, etc., the object pronouns, me, him, us, etc., and the possessive pronouns, my, your, his, etc., can also change. The perspective of the speaker is different. Be careful. See examples in the lesson. 4. Modals. The modal verbs can also change. Here is a list of the modal verbs that can change when you put them into reported speech. Can becomes could. Shall becomes would. Will becomes would. Must becomes had to. May becomes might. There is no change in the following modal verbs from one speech to the other. Could, would, should, might, ought to. 5. Expressions of time and place. Another thing that can change when you put a sentence into reported speech are the expressions of time and place. Here are some of the words that can change when you are converting direct speech into reported speech. Here becomes there. This becomes that. Today becomes that day. Yesterday becomes the day before. You will find more examples in the lesson. 6. Imperative. When you put an imperative sentence into reported speech, you just add to the positive sentences and not to the negative sentences. For example, in direct speech, close the door becomes, he told me to close the door. In direct speech, don't close the door becomes, he told me not to close the door. 7. Questions. In closed questions, they can only give a yes or no answer. We use if or whether after the reporting verb. For example, in direct speech, Mary says, will you go to Australia next year? And in reported speech, Mary asked John if he would go to Australia next year. Or, Mary asked John whether he would go to Australia next year. Note the pronoun change. In open questions, impossible to answer yes or no, we must put the corresponding question word and invert the subject and verb. For example, where will you go next year, John? Mary asked John where he would go the following year. In reported speech, it is no longer a question, so put the subject first. 8. Verbs, time and place expressions that don't change. Sometimes a sentence is said and reported within the same time frame. In this case, the verb tense and the time expression do not change. When we are at the same location as the location that is being reported, the place expression does not change. You will find examples of these in the lesson. Okay, we've come to the end of the reported speech grammar preview. Now it's time to do the lesson, then on to the exercises. See you next time. Bye.
Take care. Hope to see you soon.